So very even. And then 2 Hunter, 1 Warrior, 1 Priest, 1 Shaman, and then no Rogues. So the only class not being represented is Rogue. Last week we had everything
We
because
invite
Hype was
Hype
here.
more often.
Yeah, just to give
Hype
some more
will always
diversity.
play the Rogue.
Yeah.
You know, Dark Wanix also posted that he got #2 Legend with Rogue too. So it's definitely viable out there. I think people have not settled on what they feel like is the best Rogue deck, but who knows? Maybe I'm actually pretty sure by land time for the offline finals we'll probably see a Rogue. Has to be a good deck. That's one of the few classes that people still haven't figured out the true innovation yet.
Magic Amy plays some Rogue. She hasn't brought it very much, but when she was first...
She actually loves Miracle Rogue a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, what a start from LonelyLink, by the way.
Yeah.
He's got the Northshire Cleric into the Injured Blade Master combination. Savjz does have an answer to it, though.
I'd say Priest is one of the harder matchups for Paladin to overcome. Because they can stall a lot of the pressure that you put out early on. And make it really problematic for you to continue to pile on pressure as the game goes on. And especially like Northshire Cleric stops you from using your hero power, which a lot of classes that Paladin plays against, they rely on getting a lot of value out of the hero power early on. Or even later in the game to make the opponent use cards to trade against your hero power, which doesn't cost you any cards. Priest, it's hard to do that.
Well, Savjz, not happy to see his opponent drawing cards, but he can draw some cards of his own. And what will happen is, you know, his opponent will be forcing him to draw 2 cards, but then Priest can start drawing a lot of cards too. In fact, Priest can draw 3 to 4 cards next turn, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. You have to be pretty conservative with your circle, I think, in this matchup, but that's just way too much value to pass up. I think so.
You can even draw 5 cards.
Yeah.
You'd heal the Acolyte too, which I don't think you'd be super happy about.
I think.
Oh man.
3
He
cards
just made the
is
trade
enough.
for you as well.
Yeah.
Now you attack the shielded mini-bot and then you heal for 3.
Yeah, this is, again, a separate case, but most of the time I'd be
But then what happens is you can use the Acolyte to draw cards off the what's it called? The other Peacekeeper.
You're not too worried about pressure. You're worried about card advantage, but the Acolyte helps. But you're not too worried about pressure because priests aren't going to kill you outright. You can always draw into Quality Consecrate to swing the game, or Quality in general.
That's a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Priest getting a large advantage like this is really tough.
Scented Shieldmaster is not a card that see often in at least mid-range Paladin. This might, well,
Yeah, that's a good point.
it might be more control style of Paladin.
Well, it's just a good replacement instead of Pilot Shredders.
It deals with Paladin Shredders well.
Right. A 3/5 body is a natural predator to the Pilot Shredder.
Yeah.
The thing about Senjin too is that it's more consistent because the Pilot Shredder is a little bit hard and unreliable sometimes, especially against like Zoo and whatnot.
Yeah. There's some times where you just get a 1/1, and then in most cases you end up wanting the Senjin anyway.
I mean, LonelyLink's the only guy to play Priest, but he's also getting just ridiculous draws. Like, he's getting all, every single Northshire Cleric, and he's getting the combination. Like, when he played Priest in this previous day, I remember him also having a similar start where it was just like, it was pretty nuts.
Where he like ended the game on like turn 8 as a Priest, which is absurd. I mean, Death Battle Priest is like the only Priest that can do that. But even Death Battle Priest, that's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, just Undertaker can grow a little bit. Just through the Sludge Belcher.
He can grow next turn as well. With the second Sludge Belcher or Sylvanas, but Cabal Shadow Priest is a pretty fantastic card against Paladin. There's a lot of targets.
Well, not necessarily next turn. There's only going to be a 1/1 available.
Yeah. I'm saying on turn 6 in general in this matchup. Like shielded mini bot, even if you just take a hero power token in a lot of matchups, sometimes you just end up playing it just a bare naked Cabal, just out in the wild.
Sounds hot.
Yeah, totally. Awkward turn.
Well, Senjin pretty much just gets run over, right?
So does Harrison Jones, though.
Harrison Jones at least contests, whatever it runs into it, it'll kill.
Yeah.
Senjin will, like, weaken everything just enough that, like, just Holy Novas or, like, you know, some other thing. It's not really that strong. But you do get to squeeze in the hero power with the Senjin Shield Master.
Just neither play feels right.
Yeah, with Harrison, though, I like that it really does challenge everything. The only thing about Harrison is somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm convinced the moment I play Harrison Jones, they thought steal a true server champion. I kid you not. This is like exactly what happens every single time. I'm like, well, you know, there's never a Harrison Jones in this matchup. And then it's like a scenario pops up where I needed it.
Turn 7, bam,
Yeah.
thought steal, bam, true silver champion, bam, kills your Harrison.
Right. Yeah, bam, I kill myself.
Whoa, that escalated too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to spend a day in my mind, bro.
Yeah, thinking about Tiger Moms all day.
Good for you. Good for you. You're welcome. Like, Savjz just is going to be struggling to fight back on board for a while here.
He's gonna need an equality or.
I think as a priest you care so much more about the board than you care about rushing the paladin, so I'd rather kill off the 1/1. Yeah, I definitely would rather kill off the Silverhand recruit. What's the rush? You know, this game's gonna last for another 4 turns, maybe 3 or 4 turns
really
at
is.
the latest.
Really is no rush. I can also steal boombots with Cabal.
Yeah, that's one of the more useful things to steal for sure.
Yeah.
Boombots is Savjz's way to try to fight back onto the board, but one of them will get stolen. More importantly, though, how does he deal with Dr. Boom? There's actually very few efficient ways to do it. There's a lot of bodies.
Yeah. I
that
mean,
have
there's
a small attack.
there's not too. I don't think there's that too much of a rush to really deal with it. I mean,
Yeah, maybe you just Dark Cultist and buff more.
Yeah.
And Loot Hoarder. Oh my gosh. Undertaker.
Because now you're making Undertakers bigger. You're giving more fodder to throw
So,
into the.
like, they're on the Skype call with each other, so they're like laugh. Like Savjz is like laughing because like at this point it's just ridiculous how big that these boombots have gotten.
Yeah. Good heads up call to go ahead and heal before he clears the second boombot.
Wow. Oh, I was not expecting to trade into Dr. Boom. I think Savjz is really happy about that, actually.
Yeah, potentially he could have got those Undertakers out of range, but he didn't have the death rattles. I mean, he could have like Sylvana Shadow or Power Shield the next turn to bring one of them out of range, but
sure.
Oh, the Paladin Sky Golem.
Yeah. I think he's hoping that at one point Priest starts rushing him, and then he can like get value off of Kel'Thuzad.
Doesn't seem like LonelyLink's going to do that though. He
No.
seems to be playing very patiently and
Yeah, very board centric.
yeah, making every trade that he possibly can. Making the trades how he wants to.
What does Sky Golem usually get
For me,
on average, like the average stats? Do you know? I want to say it's like an average of 8 stats.
Yeah.
Like a 4/4 is pretty common.
Yeah. 9 stats I think would probably be above average. Because he'd be like a
No
Brewmaster or
way.
a Yeti. Whoa!
That is really funny. I really hope Savjz draws like lay on hands and just nuke something for 8. That is actually really funny. True Silver Champion does 2 damage.
It
to
does.
himself.
That's crazy. Plus the damage that he would take from whatever he attacks.
Right.
The True Silver Champion.
Wow, he's
so
like killing
appealing.
everything for him so that like True Silver gets full value.
And he's that Undertaker could become problematic.
Is he not going to buff the Undertaker? So True Silver Champion just wipes the Undertaker. Oh man, that definitely feels like a wasted opportunity in a way, because it's like the Undertaker, it had so much to live for.
He worked so hard and traded.
He got
so
straight
much.
A's.
Maybe it's Savjz just thinking.
Never smoked a joint in his life.
Yeah.
He's like captain of the football team, and he dies to a True Silver. That's not right. It's not right, man. I'm gonna write a play about this.
Okay.
Have your mom act.
She's probably watching at home right now thinking,
She's like, why does that man know so much about my life?
oh, my mom knows everything about your life, Dan.
What? No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does. It's very adamant
TJ's
about
mother's
trading.
a stage actress, by the way. Very talented one.
Thank you. She's not too big for 4 mech warpers to even. That was really hurtful, Dan.
Sorry.
Very hurtful.
That was before you told me more about her, who she was.
I actually broke down and cried after
I
the
was
last
out
series.
of line. I was definitely out of line.
And Frodan comforted me with friendly words.
So so Savjz is gonna try and utilize like the board position and leverage it, so that way his opponent feels like he has to clear it. He's saying, "I hope you don't have AOE." And he does, but it comes at the cost of killing off his own. So I think Savjz is okay with that.
But getting the muster for battle out of the way before, like, I guess it doesn't really matter because you would have the circle of healing.
Well, I mean,
regardless.
I don't think he's okay with
Oh,
Dr.
no.
Boom coming up on the other end. But he does have Big Game Hunter.
And this might be, well, he decides not to throw the loot hoarder out. Maybe to play around my control
Yeah,
tech.
exactly.
And
No, that was
whoa!
definitely a play around my control tech. Okay, 3 damage.
That's interesting because the entire game before that, he had no fear of playing around it. But, I mean, he didn't really have minions of high value. Like, he doesn't want to, especially with the card advantage that he has right now, he doesn't want to give Savjz, like, a loot hoarder.
Sure. Makes sense.
Or even a Dr. Boom, that'd be really big.
Oof. 4 damage. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Savjz needs healing of some kind.
And cards, so that hands would be pretty good, but he might.
Well, he's not gonna die, but the thing is, playing like Kael'thasar is just gonna get mind controlled.
Yeah.
So the way that he can come back is if he kills off something, Kael'thasar's, his opponent mind controls, and then he like equality consecrates, and like that's how he gets back on the board.
Seems really unlikely.
Seems very, very unlikely.
You could tell by his facial expression that he's just pretty unhappy.
Yeah, he's just too low health. You know, look how he's able to fight to some relevance in the card count. Like this entire game, LonelyLink got so far ahead in the cards that like Savjz has just equalized. 6 cards remain to 13. He had to fight from a 7-card deficit to the point where he's like almost equal. It's just he ran out of time. Like
Yeah.
Priest just does too much. Sitting on too many legendary and late game cards.
Yeah, I mean, and in a way, it's just that's what comes from the card advantage. You can get bigger leads, and even as a priest, you can force your opponent in a situation where it will become too late. And that's game.
Yeah, that will be
Shadow
game because the mind
Madness.
control tech can't get Shadow Madness. And that's going to wrap up game number 1. So LonelyLink ends up getting a really strong early game lead and just never lets it go. And that will mean Savjz has to win Handlock versus the Fatigue Mage, which is a matchup that Link definitely knows how to play.
Yeah.
He beat Reynad pretty convincingly last time. Well, I think Savjz has also been working hard and playing a lot. I would definitely have to say that I think he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he also played in the tournament last week, and placed pretty well. enough to get him invited last week. Today.
He does.
I'm talking about
Very
the Legendary
familiar.
Series match day, not the actual Open tournament.
LonelyLink does have to win those for North America though, because EU did beat NA last time. Firebat lost to Tice.
Yes.
So LonelyLink has to win this for America.
The America's last hope rests on the Lonely Link.
No, isn't Kit Kats? Kit Kats is in semifinals.
Oh, that's true.
He's American too.
Yeah. The last matchup is Gara versus Amaz, so NA isn't even represented.
All right. Well, Doomsayer against Handlock is very annoying because you just throw it down on a turn that they're supposed to normally play a big threat, and it's like, well, you delay it.
Yeah, even if they have the answer to it, like the Iron Beak Owl.
If
said,
you
delays
have
their threat
the
by one
answer,
turn.
then you directly have the ability to Echo of Medivh later. I was thinking of the name of the card, and I was a little bit confused.
Bingo. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
Oh, this is pretty good. He coins it out before Doomsayer has a chance. I doubt that's factoring into his... Well, it might be. He's got to know that this is Fatigue Mage.
Oh, yeah. It has to be because Savjz played it last week. He streamed it a lot. He's been on record saying he thinks it's a really good deck. Curious as to what his exact plans are with like going about this duplicate process. And I think the double Drake is like just exactly what he didn't want to see. Because coining out the Drake is usually means like, oh, he doesn't have a giant, so I just have to worry about one Drake. But now he does. If he plays a Doomsayer, he has the Frostbolt as well. Unless he just wants to play it just to gain life.
Could be a possibility. A lot of damage showing on
Deathlord
board.
and Doomsayer.
Deathlord could be a liability. Well, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, LonelyLink
yeah.
actually shouldn't silence this. Oh, sorry, he should silence it. He shouldn't kill it. It's very tempting to just like, Dark Bomb, move on in life. But
because of duplicate.
yeah.
If you silence it and leave it on the board, then Echo Medivh will...
Oh, he's giving him a chance.
Ooh, hoo, hoo.
Well, he knows it too. Like he knows duplicate is the thing. So I guess he's okay with him having more Doomsayers.
Mm-hmm.
So Deathlord plus Doomsayer?
In Fatigue Mage, what would be a more viable target? Well, I guess in his head he's thinking either way he knows he's going to have more Doomsayers.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, sometimes he won't have the option of being able to kill the Doomsayer. Sometimes he'll have to resort to silencing the Doomsayer.
Sure.
So even though he's giving him extra Doomsayer, he's
That's a good
lining
point.
himself up to be able to kill future, or be able to deal with future Doomsayers.
What if this summons Jiraxis?
Oh! No way! That is heartbreaking. Now, oh man, that is the key to winning.
Well,
this
it's one
matchup.
of the keys.
One
On
of the
top of
keys.
just killing him because you have such a big board. But, Savjz, he's going to need some help here. He's under a lot of pressure.
For all the great draws that LonelyLink had in last game, this is just karma.
I was like,
catching
what
up
if
to him.
Deathlord just pulls Jiraxis and completely negates his ability to use his Infernos? Now all Savjz has to do is stabilize the board about 3 more times with his Doomsayers or Flame Strikes. And maybe he's got this. If you just like Polymorph and then Deathlord, everything softens up enough. Like the whole point of Deathlord is to soften up the board for a Flame Strike or, Blizzards. Maybe a Sheep. Wow, that is really unfortunate for LonelyLink. Actually, I feel for him right now.
Yeah, and
It's like,
I mean,
what are you supposed to do?
you have to think. I guess it's not the least likely thing,
Right.
because there's not that many creatures left. I mean, we have one Molten Giant, one Mountain Giant, one Sludge Belcher, Ancient Watcher. It's probably about maybe a little less than 10% chance, or around a 10% chance, I'd say. But it really hurts.
Explosive Sheep is so that way he can get, like, His ideal scenario is that everything hits the Death Lord once for 2 damage. Or he can just play Explosive Ship and hit everything for 2 damage. Even better yet, maybe LonelyLink gets baited to using Silence on this Explosive Ship.
Yeah. But no, I think...
Nah, he knows he has Doomsayers. It's just too good. What does Drax say when he attacks? Just laughs, right?
I don't know.
Oh, man. The pressure is just way too much. He needs to draw some kind of freeze now. Still has a chance with Coldlight Oracle. Oh, he's a nice block up, too, so he will survive.
And with the Coldlight Oracle, he's also going to burn a card from the handlock the following turn.
Cone of Cold is not it.
Frost Nova would have been...
Frost Nova would have been exactly what he
Pretty
needed.
ideal.
Now, he can gain some health if he just, like, plays Death Lord, pings, like, the Zombie Chow. How much damage can he minimize? If he Cone of Colds, like Jiraxis,
I think he'd want to ping the... Oh, no, he can't do that.
Right.
Never mind.
how much does he take? He'll have 16 health. He'll take 13 from the Dr. Boom, and then anything with 3 damage, Hellfire
Potentially, or the bomb
Bomb.
that he would kill in the process.
is also a good point.
It's rough. So, I mean, we said the key to this, one of the keys to this victory is getting an early Jiraxis, but I don't think we expected it that early. It's still tough, because it's still a 3-15.
Yeah, I think Cone of Cold on the far left might be his best option here to survive. But of course, Hellfire might simply clean up. Sun Fury, not a big deal.
Yeah, it's one of the best cards that he could discard, actually, I think.
So this just needs to do 2 damage? Plenty. He doesn't want a Hellfire though, does he?
He could Dark Bomb.
Oh, he has Dark Bomb. I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
Yikes.
So I think Savjz can't do anything. Oh, he can Alex draws himself back to the 15. That's about it.
Still not enough.
Yeah. He's going to play taunts, but he's just going to die to a Hellfire afterwards. The direct damage is too much to hold off. This Fatigue Mage deck, like, I feel like it's just such on a razor thin edge. Like, if ever you lose momentum control, you don't have your freeze early on, you just get bullied too much. Like, you're so dependent on the board clear that if you don't get it off, you just, like, outright lose the game. I mean, LonelyLink looks like he's just sitting back and doesn't have to do anything. Just like, pretty much just keep putting the pressure on, and your opponent has to provide the exact responses.
Okay. That would have been funny if that actually only hit for 1. Tries to kill himself.
Very unlikely otherwise.
Yeah.
Savjz is down 0-2, and LonelyLink is 1 game away from going to the semifinals to await the winner of Gar and Amaz.
Yep.
But it's certainly possible, and it's definitely possible with this deck. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but let's see what happens. The Paladin's one of the most adept classes at out-tempoing Druid. I don't know, though. Savjz has a pretty nice hand.
He does.
At least in terms of the early game cards you want.
Yeah, he could ramp up, deal with tough threats early on. Has Innervate to bring on a big creature early, which can sometimes be problematic for Paladin. But right away, I think Equality is actually a really big card for LonelyLink to have early on.
Well, Wild Growth is pretty much exactly what he wanted. And from here, it's just like a cross your fingers to play whatever's off the top. His hand is looking very situational otherwise.
Yeah. No, that's very true, because if he draws dead cards for a few turns more, and LonelyLink continues to play threats on the board, it can get a little bit out of control quickly.
Alright, well, I mean, he's got a pretty decent turn too.
Yeah.
Wrath for 1. Hero Power it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay still to spend his turn doing this. Even if he had that 4-mana minion, the Senjin Seal Master taunt up, it would get bullied pretty easily.
This would still probably be the play.
Right. Because now he's actually up in a card because of Wild Growth is a loss of a card. Wild Growth is a pure tempo card, unless you want to go for the cycle at the very end, because you give up a card to gain mana. But now he's gotten it back. And he's starting to gain another advantage, too, through Azure Drake. Azure Drake does get denied very easy by Choose Over Champion, though. That's something you're always worried about on your mind.
Yeah. And Shaded Naxxramas would get pretty denied by Consecrate, so it's just sort of pick your poison in that situation.
Awkward spot for Paladin now. Does he really have to Consecrate to deal with this Drake?
Reporting for duty.
Do you cash in to avoid playing, like, getting swiped? It's tough. A lot of tough questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This equality is also very strong. Like, quality is one of your best tools against Druid's boards because Druids often have like 4 to 5 health cost minions.
I'd say this is a pretty good hand because he's got.
Yeah. It's very versatile.
Yeah. He's got solid creatures to be able to deal with smaller threats.
Sure.
Without having to invest too much into
Yeah,
like something big that could get like equality or.
Yeah. It's definitely a time to start cleaning up the 1/1s for in Quartermaster, because not only do we see in the hand, but it's the threat of it. So
yeah.
It's very efficient to just clear out these 1/1s. Something cool to note is that Link has a Golden Paladin.
That takes dedication.
That shows to me that Link is a legit control player.
Yeah, it's true. Priest,
'Cause,
bringing Priest.
Yeah, he's like a player that loves playing these control-ish decks.
Because Paladin hasn't been popular post GVG long enough, unless you
Right.
play like
Unless you
all
played
day.
unless you played aggro Paladin.
Yeah, that's true.
But even then, it's like that still probably took a long time because the win percentage on the deck's not that high.
You look at the majority of Paladin players that have golden Paladin portraits.
Yep.
All 10 of them.
Yeah, Chanman's one of them, by the way.
Zilia.
But he only has it on one of his 40 accounts. Too soon.
Too soon. Oh, man.
I'm on fire, TJ.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Wrathing for 2 to draw a card. Like, again, this is basically the exact opposite of what happened in the priest versus the paladin game, where like the paladin got out-carded again. Actually, I guess it's the same, but the roles have reversed. The paladin's getting out-carded by a lot of efficiency. And like now, like consecration just kills 1 minion. It's like a quality consecration, 2 cards for 2 cards, and these are like weaker minions. You know that there's going to be minions that you'd rather use equality on, like Ancient of War, or scenarios.
To be honest, like Hero Power Pass seems viable,
Right.
just because you have a quality consecrate. But that's such a dead giveaway, and the druid can just sit back and literally just pass and do nothing.
Right. Well, they're going to play a 3rd minion and then pass.
Yeah.
And a 3rd minion would be like Azure Drake, which pays for itself.
And it might just be a Hero Power Pass, though. But it looks like he's just going to get it out of the way quickly.
Yeah, it's just too risky. He still doesn't have confirmation that his opponent isn't playing the combo, by the way. I know we probably have a strong inclination that it's not, but you can't ever be too sure.
Yeah.
Double 5 drop is possible this turn. I'm almost positive it's coming out here.
Yeah. In the past, Senjin Shieldmaster might be a little bit of a giveaway.
Right.
But now, I think it's a little more popular of a card because of Paladin Shredder.
I like it. I like this. He's so convinced his opponent doesn't have True Silver Champion because he should have played it a few turns ago that he's just going to say, you have to top deck it now. LonelyLink is in a lot of trouble. Harrison Jones has to come here. Or Quartermaster just feels like it could get swiped and pushed. I guess Harrison Jones is the same thing too, but at least it contests the 4/4.
Yeah.
Quartermaster doesn't even challenge anything.
Yeah, you have to play it here.
That belongs in a museum.
Harrison Jones is one of the most ineffective cards in recent times. It's like there's been a few games where it's won, but so many people are playing classes now that don't have weapons, where Harrison is just not really doing much at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of players are taking it out with the popularity of Warrior decreasing and the popularity of classes like Mage and Druid.
Yeah, Mage and Druid
increasing.
really rising to the top. Harrison's like half as effective now.
Warlocks are still popular, but there's
Like people are taking out Jiraxis sometimes too.
Yeah, and I mean, Zalay won last week with his combo lock, or
Right, and that didn't have a weapon at all.
Yeah.
So like and not to mention they might play Zoo. So there's like a solid amount of classes where it's just like very difficult to lock down a Harrison Jones target. Tyrion coming down on turn 8 is the best and most efficient way to address this, but there is a Keeper of the Grove waiting to silence and prevent that Tyrion weapon from ever coming into play. The Ashbringer is actually really, really good against Druid.
Yeah.
But there's just not really anything you can do here.
he's finding the most efficient way to deal with the body once it's dead.
Right.
Swipe hero power is okay, but he take 5 damage to the face. I mean, he can make like a creative play and go super aggressive and like swipe face and throw in the Azure Drake.
What I like about Swipe against Paladin, though, is the muster for battle. But so I like keeping it. But
just,
you're right in the
hero
sense
powering
that
it
it does make a really clean kill.
Yeah. This is sort of just really similar, except you're using the body instead of the swipe.
Yeah, I like keeping the Swipe.
Yeah.
I like that he's also trading. It fits a lot of comfort zones because you're now playing still around mind control tech. Double Quartermaster.
Icky.
What's icky?
Double Quartermaster in a hand with no dudes on
with-
board, without board control, without muster for battle.
Yeah, pretty.
What did
Pretty
you think
awkward.
I was saying, Icky? Frodan just looked at me
No,
like...
it's like, I don't know, were you quoting Leper Gnome or something?
I wasn't quoting anything.
Oh.
Just saying Icky. Do you want me to say something else next time?
I'm not your tiger, Mom. I'm not going to tell you what to say. So I think the question becomes whether or not Savjz feels like enough extending more onto the board. But you can't. Not even just for mind control tech reasons, but equality consecration. It's just okay just attacking face and then hero powering. This might feel really unintuitive if you're just learning Hearthstone. You're like, don't you just want to keep advancing the board? But Paladin has the ability to sweep really easily with his board clear. Not to mention how popular that mind control tech card has become.
Yeah. And you have so many answers in your hand. You have Big Game Hunter, 2 Big Game
Right.
Hunters actually, Swipe as well.
Maybe you swipe the face. Maybe just like go super ham and just like threaten to kill.
Yeah, well, I mean, Swipe's not going anywhere.
4, 7, 9 damage next turn. If you... 9 damage. Yeah, you still have enough damage next turn to kill. Alright, he's just going ham.
Sometimes ham is the way to go. Maybe not in this case, though.
Well, Equality Consecration gives him a pretty meager board. He has like a Shield to Mini-Bot follow-up or a Pilot Shredder. I think Pilot Shredder is a little bit more versatile.
At the same time, you have double Quartermaster in your hand. I think you want to try and start having Hero Master
Good
stick on
point,
the
good
board.
point. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
I mean, most likely they're going to get hero powered on most turns, but you have to try and get you have to, 2 of them. You have to try
Actually,
and get 9 of them somehow.
now that I see 2 big game hunters in the deck, I am pretty convinced that Savjz is going to pick
Whoa.
Druid from this point on.
Savage
because-
Roar.
Oh, yeah. So he does play combo.
Yeah.
See? Sometimes they just play Senjin, they play Ancient of Wars, and they're like, by the way, I have 2 combos.
We haven't actually seen. Have we seen Ancient of War?
No, we haven't. I'm just saying sometimes they
Okay.
do. Like, don't be misled to thinking Wild Growth, Senjin
Yeah, yeah.
Shield Master, Druid the Claw Taunt, and then it's like an Ancient of Lore, and it's like, or Ancient of War. It's like, well, he probably can't have combo, right?
Yeah, it's
Or
hard.
he just combos you.
It's hard to tell, and I think putting in a combo in a deck that would not necessarily otherwise be running combo can win you some games.
So this is lethal damage with the Savage Roar. That's why I put 1 big game hunter out. The only way LonelyLink could prevent dying here if he uses the Elder Peacekeeper, that's 4 plus 6. That's plus the hero power. That's 7 damage. That's on top of the 4. So
No.
no, there's no way for him to survive here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think LonelyLink's dead. Savjz has managed to hold on.
Yeah.
So Savjz will win this game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's just going to pick it again. Because if it goes against the Paladin, I think he's fine. Because Drew is just really strong at the moment against Paladin. It's like one of the weaker matches, but I think it's great. Against everything else, too. The Handlock, he has double Big Game Hunter. And against Priest.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I really hate Druid versus Priest now. If I have to be.
I think the heads-up play in this situation might be to just put as much power on the board as you can. Because there's nothing you can play around.
Ancient of War.
All right, Ancient of War.
I think this is a very tricky and very cool deck. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, how do you fit in the combo? And it's like, well, actually, you just still make lean cuts. You probably top it. What? Why you smile at me?
Lean cuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some like good old beef jerky. Make some lean cuts.
Yeah, sure.
Jack Links.
Lean cuts for big gains.
You just like
Back in the day, he was playing Control Paladin, I want to say. Back when he was part of... what was the first team that Savjz competed with?
Doggy House?
Yeah. Doggy House?
Yeah.
Doge House?
Doggy House.
Okay.
That's what Ecop and
With
Imption
Ecop,
and
yeah.
Artosis called it.
Mhm.
And then he went from
Okay,
that
did
to
they?
Curse, and from Curse to Liquid.
Yeah, so back in Fight Night, when he was competing in Doggy House, he played a lot of Paladin back then. The days of Paladin versus Handlock, Control Paladin versus Handlock. Don't see that matchup very much anymore, if at all. I think we saw it once in the Legendary Series, maybe in like week 3 or something.
Interesting. Savjz threw away Consecration. That's a card that I personally keep just because I'm afraid of Muster for Battle, but maybe it makes sense to toss it away just because
Enlighten me.
you might get a card that control the board to the point where you don't need Consecration. And oftentimes people play around Consecration so well that it's an ineffective card anyway.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So you just rather have a card that's better on curve, faster paced, and more effective.
It takes up a spot in your hand.
Right, it's just sitting there.
That's a good point. It takes up a spot in your hand for something that people play around anyway.
Reporting for duty.
Ooh, good juggle.
Clutch juggle, even.
But True to a Champion definitely going to get some work done here. Just as long as he stabilizes the board.
Yeah.
In the meantime, LonelyLink's going to try to really fuel it, but he's only got a couple of minions to just play. He's got the shielded mini bot, and well, he's got Sledge Belcher next turn.
I mean, he can get a lot of mileage from his hero powers here, though.
That's true, but he doesn't have Quartermaster.
Yep. Very true.
So I'm pretty sure Savjz most likely going to kill off this Zombie Chow, play his Muster for Battle, try to fight back for the board really aggressively. It's just the best way to do it, and he's also got Quartermaster. Oh man.
So we'll have to see if LonelyLink is actually going to decide to clear off these 1/1s. I mean, I guess he could
He's
Sledge Belcher.
absolutely going to.
Well, I was talking about if he's going to, which way he's going to clear it off. Either with Consecrate or just clearing it off with board and Sledge Belcher. Or, yeah, Sledge Belcher. I was going to say, Loatheb doesn't really make sense.
Well, Savjz's deck looks more late game oriented than the Paladin deck of LonelyLink.
Definitely.
And I feel like that does favor Savjz, just because the slower deck from like Paladin can't kill as fast, therefore the slower deck really does get the advantage.
Yeah. I think in a lot of cases the slower deck has the advantage. Maybe not in Hunter.
Not in aggressive decks.
Yeah.
The slower decks actually get outpaced a little bit too much. In
There's
Hunter versus Hunter, you kind of want the faster Hunter
Yeah.
deck so you can push out the race.
There's like a scale.
Right.
The slower the deck is, the more advantage it has against the mirror by being slower, and the faster the deck is, the more advantage it has in the mirror by being faster.
Whoa.
Whoa! Crazy, dude.
Righteous.
I wonder.
What's the most efficient way to deal with Sludge Belcher? I'm pretty sure it involves using Truce of a Champion here. I think squeezing in the hero power every single turn is one of the big priorities, so that way you can get ahead on damage. Every hero power represents a delay
Reporting for duty.
damage, and you could stack it to where you want it to go.
Yeah. And, I mean, Consecrate could have been a way to deal with it, but that's such a much more of a valuable card in this matchup.
Oh,
Later
wow.
on.
So he doesn't really play around Consecration. He values the power on the board. You know what? Good for him. He says, you have to have it.
Yeah, when we talked to Blackout and Green Sheep before,
Right.
they were
So
saying one of the
Chalky-
things they valued in Chalky was the fact that he plays aggressive to the point where he forces his opponent to have answers. Never plays conservatively, and never expects his opponent to have the answer to whatever he's going to play.
A Mogushan Warden. That's actually okay.
That's great!
For duty.
It's a dude killer.
Yeah, it's actually like okay. It like softens everything up.
Where's Rayned?
That's hilarious. Well, interestingly enough, it's like now this other Peacekeeper comes out. It'll be pretty decent, but then Quartermaster's here.
Reporting for duty.
But then Quartermaster extends into a Consecration. Yeah, this is starting to get pretty complicated. I think he's going to trade in Muster for Battle and then Quartermaster, but then that just gets cleared.
I think either way, he's just in a tough spot. You can't play around
Oh.
everything.
You actually can't play everything either.
I wonder.
Can you? Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. There's enough space.
Mhm.
You have to suicide both these minions.
The
Okay.
slime and the bot.
Is there any other better play? What if you use Consecration here? Nah, it just leaves like 5 power on the board. Quartermaster plays like just so appetizing. It's delicious.
And nutritious. Yeah, well, it's going to force out his...
A healthy diet of Quartermaster per day.
Reporting for duty. To
Silverhand
arms, men.
recruits. To the dome.
Jeez. Well, I am very certain that Savjz will not take this threat lightly. Have to equality consecrate here.
Yeah, if he doesn't, then he wouldn't be dead, but it'd be very close.
The good thing is that it goes even card for card, because Quartermaster and Muster for Battle does end up trading like sort of card value. The only thing is the Light's Justice, of course.
Yeah.
Cleaning up all the 1/1s, but
Oh,
you have Lay on hand, so like Savjz is gonna get way ahead. Way ahead.
Yeah, and these cards are pretty situational for LonelyLink as well. I'd say Savjz is in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah. Until LonelyLink picks up a legitimate threat like Tyrion or something else.
Or his
he
own
plays
Lay on
2
Hands.
Sky Golems?
Whoa!
Oh, man. These Sky Golems are like, they're like mini Savannah Highmanes.
Yeah.
Or Cairns that have different pros and cons. Like, for one, it's got really good power. So, you know, Cairns sometimes just die to a Lotheb, for example.
Yep.
But this can trade well into it.
And in some cases, it's more valuable. Since you're running 2, if
Right.
it draws a silence,
Right.
then you still have the second one.
And it's a mech, so it gets some synergy with mech-related cards.
Definitely.
It's a death rattle as well. So it's pretty flexible. It's definitely,
and it's cool and fun. Which is
I don't know
what
about the
Hearthstone
fun
is all
part.
about.
I don't know about the fun part.
The cards that give random drops, like Piloted Shredder, Piloted Sky Golem, Sneed's Old Shredder.
2 Lay on hands! What?
How does he fit all this in? What is he taking out? He runs double Quartermaster, double, and Pyromancers. Well, this is very control heavy.
I actually don't know.
I think this is a good read if you know you're going to be playing against a
So,
lot of other paladins.
He didn't draw either of his lay on hands against Priest.
No.
That's really unfortunate.
With how control heavy he is, with double lay on hands, it's crazy that he lost to Priest. Like
Yeah.
in the manner that he did.
That makes a lot of sense. What is this?
It's the.
That's the mage that gives spell power,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
stealth.
Oh man, it's the.
Oh, he's not playing around mind control tech.
mini mage. There you go.
He's not playing around mind control tech. If it takes the pilot shredder, that's just devastating.
Ooh.
It's pretty. It's okay.
Mhm.
Choose silver. All right.
He wants to keep that that mini mage for the extra heal on the lay on hands.
I mean, you don't get it. You don't get extra life for the spell power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you still only restore 8. That's why it was confusing because everyone said spell power versus spell damage, so they changed the wording to be spell damage. Yeah. And if Savjz is also paying attention, he won't hero power here. Oh, I guess he trades, so he will. Never mind.
Reporting for duty.
Swordsmith.
It's
Once
funny.
upon a time, that was put into.
There's gonna be a lot of swords
Suited.
given out. Check this out. Like Swordmaster.
Oh, it's
then
like
there's
it's
Quartermaster.
it's the same visual effect.
Is it?
It's close.
Well, let's
It's not
see.
the same sound effect. But I think it might be the same visual effect.
I think we're about to find out.
To arms, men.
No, it's
I
a
think the
gold
sword's
sword,
bigger,
and then
yeah.
the Swordmaster, the Swordsmith is like a purple sword.
Okay. Okay, so it's the same effect. It's just a purple versus gold.
Right. Is it KT time? Might be. Then again, your opponent hasn't used an equality yet. Is there a better way to do this? Do you have a clear with Pyromancer? Pyromancer and
Lay on hands.
Lay on Hands or Pyromancer muster for battle? Oh, actually, never mind. That kills it. Lol. Idiot. Frodan.
Well, if
I'm
you're-
just thinking about like ways that because Lay on Hands does feel like you're gonna overdraw, right? That's what I'm worried about. If you Pyromancer, you'd be at
Me think.
he'd overdraw one next turn,
yeah.
one the following
So.
turn. Well, if your opponent has 2 muster for battles and it's coming up on turn 5, don't have any other way to deal with it.
Sure.
I guess Pyromancer, well, muster for battle is okay.
TJ, you just did me such a solid. I love you, bro. Thank you for making me feel a lot better about my previous comment.
Well, that was
You're a solid. You did me a solid.
well, that was preceded by
Yeah.
lay on
I
hands
mean,
spell power.
I really did think it was killed this odd time. It didn't really look like anything was much better.
Yeah.
So then you're gonna have to equality to kill this off, which I think you're okay with because Savjz still has plenty of threats. He has to have Tyrion in his deck,
Yeah.
and he's just so far up in the card count.
Yeah, the card count's a big deal.
Yep.
Consecrate
Reporting for duty.
big game hunters.
Reporting
Not the
for
greatest
duty.
here. Especially since I don't know if there's going to be any other BGH targets.
Right. Well, this is gonna definitely be a Pyromancer clear. And now he's gonna not overdraw, which is really nice. So, well,
Wait.
this is gonna be a runaway game, I think, for Savjz, as if it hasn't already been.
Shielded minibot not going to do him much good.
Right. It's just a much greedier paladin. Like how does he get past these Senjins? Just like 2 Senjins and a muster for battle is just like that alone can already seal the game.
Well, I think the faster paladin decks get, the more rewarded you are for how greedy you get,
Right.
especially in the tournament environment. Because the slower deck's going to win in this situation. So if you expect a lot of players to bring paladin, which half of them did today.
Well, it's gonna continue on. Lay on Hands is actually probably one of the best draws you could have asked for. Into Tyrion. Alright, so
Reporting for
and
duty.
he's still in this.
Well, it takes out 1.
2, 5, 11, 12. Oh, That's very painful, actually. Dr. Boom.
Very, very painful. Because this eliminates his chance at... it doesn't eliminate... Well, actually, yeah, for double consecrating.
Well, you can...
Aldar Peacekeeper, the Dr. Boom.
Yeah. No, you don't have enough mana to do that either.
No, you don't. Yeah, if he double consecrates, he's dead.
Dr. Boom is just too much here.
If he Tyranids, he's dead too. Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you Tyrion, then he just equalities and just like pushes through pretty
Yeah,
easily.
well, from his perspective,
Gotcha.
he'd still be dead.
Well, I think there's no way he's been cornered and Savjz is gonna tie up the series.
If the both Boobots roll 1.
Kind of.
Well, they rolled low enough so that he's not dead
That's true.
on board.
It's a good point.
But
There's such a high likelihood.
I can't even see the left.
Yeah.
I think
Boy
it's
got rocked so
muster
hard.
for battle. Maybe. 1 health though.
Right.
Just a matter of time. Has the silence as well. Knows he can push through a tunnel.
Well, here
Just
comes
it-
the March of Paladin. Like, it's not exactly a very fast and combo-oriented deck. It's just about having strong plays. And now that both Consecrations has been used, he can't even clear it, even if he wanted to. So, what can LonelyLink do here? Can he survive? He's got 1 HP.
You can play the equality, play the big game hunter, hero power, then concede.
Put your faith in the light.
Well, this is his best chance to survive, but looks like that's not even going to be enough. Just what's on board kills him.
I've got the beast in my sight.
Wow, Savjz going for the 10 out of 10 BM. I like it.
Nice.
And that's going to bring us to game number 5. 3 series and 3 game 5s. This week is very tightly contested.
Yeah, it's just really tough for the priest to. They're so reactive. The mage doesn't give them anything to react to. They're not playing a board. I mean, he can get really ahead out of any variation of priest that exists. Death Rattle Priest probably has the best chance because they could put on the most pressure. But priests don't pressure much in general. Even the faster priests just don't pressure much. So it gives Savjz time to sit back and just...
Oh, he's
Wait.
got time to sit back, all right.
Yeah, so it gets to a point where even... Like, priests draw through so much anyway. They don't want to get value out of Northshire Cleric. The loot hoarders are going to work against them. It's just really tough. It's going to be a long series. Or a long match. But I think Savjz has the advantage.
Against Priest, it definitely is one of those cases where it might go the distance of fatigue.
Well, that's what the deck was designed for.
One thing that can be the case, though, is if Priest gets a good amount of pressure. He's got 2 draws on it. 'Cause right now he's got turn 1 and turn 2 play. Now the problem is, too, Priest can't play Northshire Cleric that often in the mid game because you're trying to build your board to be strong against Flame Strike and Blizzards and all those other things. But you can't heal your minions without drawing cards and milling yourself even more. Like, do you want to kill this Northshire Cleric?
No reason. 1 damage. It's nothing.
30 turn clock. This game could go 30 turns. I think actually I want to keep the Northshire Cleric alive, like if anything.
Yeah, there's...
Or even tempt it. Maybe ping it so that he heals it.
You can just ping it once, and then just leave it like that. Now, Ysera, I think, is a really good card for this matchup. But
Yeah.
you have to get to a point where you've baited out the polymorphs.
Assuming your hand's not super full. It's a good draw though.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good draw.
Is it really, though?
The injured Blade Master? Yeah, because circle
Oh,
of
I
healing
thought you
is
were
not
talking
good.
about the Power Shield. you want to Circle of Healing?
Kind of do, just because it's a 4/7. Otherwise, it gets destroyed too easily.
Yeah.
But now it's gonna get destroyed anyways, because Savjz, I think most likely, is just gonna play Doomsayer and Frostbolt this. Priest can't generate 4 damage out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He might polymorph as well. That's also a possibility.
Gone are the days where priests have to play Crazed Alchemist to make crazy things happen.
Crazed Alchemist.
That was a staple card in Priest for a long time.
For like a day.
No, for a long time.
Yeah.
You didn't see Priest ever. The only person that was playing Priest on a competitive level was Amaz. And Crazed Alchemist was in nearly every competitive deck that he brought.
Fair enough. I wonder how much of impact Ysera will make, because it obviously won't get played if he has too big of a hand, because then the card would be useless.
Yeah.
But the body's resilient. Savjz just used Polymorph.
It's super late in the game. It's in a similar vein as Jiraxis is in Handlock, where it can be just a threat generator. Where if it's not dealt with, then you can put out a threat every turn that forces the Fatigue Mage to have to be able to deal with it, because it's not designed to deal with threats outside of the ones that are confined to the 30 cards.
So Doomsayer here, challenging the Priest to find 1 more damage, but there is Vol'jin.
Vol'jin kills the... Well, no, it's... Yeah, you'd have to sacrifice something into it. Oh, no.
No, Vol'jin just switches health.
Yeah. So he'd be a 7 health Vol'jin, and he'd be able to kill it with...
Yeah, but then
just
he's
the
got
order.
Blizzard, like, to follow it up, so...
Yeah.
In Savjz's mind, this is an okay risk, because 1, it has high benefit, you kill off everything. The second is, you still have ways to follow it up with Vol'jin, and 2 Sheeps, so you've got 6 AoE damage. Pretty sure Vol'jin comes down though.
The spirits be
A
resting.
6/7. It's a Bolter Stoker, 5 mana.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Not
And
the most...
Blizzard. The Death Lord is an interesting draw because I think that's something he really does need. He needs to start putting stuff on the board to like soften it up so that way his Explosion G is much more effective.
Yeah,
But then Death Lord is like one of the most,
Cabal
like
Shadow
one of the
Priest.
hardest, Yeah, because the Cabal Shadow Priest, one of
Yeah.
the hardest cards to like figure out the timing of, because if Priest has Cabal Shadow Priest, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, because all the cards in your deck, or all the creatures that you have in your deck are like immediate impact type creatures. Like you don't want Death Lord to pull. I guess Doomsayer wouldn't be the word. Well, no, yeah, Doomsayer would be pretty bad. Or like anti-Killbot. Or even like Cold-Light Oracle, because especially against Priest, Cold-Light Oracle could act as like a win condition later on in the game when inevitably you're getting to fatigue.
Interesting. 2 Death Lords.
Okay, well he's thinking about putting out the Cold-Light Oracle now.
What does that give you? I think I think Death Lords are fine.
Yeah.
2 Death Lords are even fine. Because if you Cabal Shadow Priest 1, you still have another one to soak up damage. I guess the problem would be if what would happen if it summons a minion that he can't deal with, and right now he doesn't have a very strong hand / board.
It's true.
Okay.
And that's a good thing too.
It's also the more mana efficient play. That's something to be noted for sure. With these kinds of decks, you have to really try to make as much as the most efficient and effective play possible.
Just seems like Dr. Boom turn. Well, I don't know, because you'd be overextending a little bit. But Dr. Boom on turn 7, there's not many plays that just feel as good as that.
I like Dr. Boom. I don't think the Death Rattle like buff on the Undertaker matters as much as getting the 7/7.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. But he's gonna opt to just play it slow.
Would you at least play Undertaker? I guess it doesn't make sense because Undertaker would come out next turn for 8 mana.
Yeah.
Sludge Belcher, great card to have right now. Savjz needs to eventually tackle his card draw mechanics like Echo of Medivh or the duplicates.
Preserving this Vol'jin. This Vol'jin's gonna get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah, Vol'jin's been super sick so far.
Well, if you
All
didn't,
Shadow Priest to steal the 1/2, it's not worth it, I think. There's
No.
so many other targets that you'd rather take.
yeah, Deathlord especially. Yeah, Sludge Belcher seems like a better option. Yeah, he knows his deck. He knows the ins and outs of this deck, so he knows that holding on to Cabal Shadow Priest for
Oh,
a more viable target.
Cold Light Oracle. And you can shoot the Explosive Sheep to kill off Vol'jin finally. Reduce some of that damage. Actually, I think Savjz may have sequenced this a little bit awkwardly. He
Mhm.
could have kept the Cold Light Oracle if he didn't do this. Uh-oh. Yeah, definitely a small sequencing. Or maybe he just dropped this in Echo's Medivh and gets both of them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like that would justify it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you didn't make a mistake.
Maybe he did make a mistake and he's like, oh, I gotta cover for this.
No, he probably.
Yeah, he did it quickly enough and decisively enough. I was thinking from the start that he was gonna echo.
So very wisely, I mean, LonelyLink makes sure that he's not going to be drawing excessively. He's at a full hand already, but he's not going to mill more cards. Like, this is why you can't drop Ysera. Because then your opponent, you already know your opponent has a Cold Light Oracle in hand.
Yeah, there's all likelihood
That's
that
so weird.
this Vol'jin could survive for
The entire game.
the entire game.
That belongs in a
Like, I mean, he could start putting on a little bit of pressure now.
Well, I mean, he is.
He's got a lot of power on
You
the
know,
board.
Savjz has been healing and taunting the entire time.
Well, he's got the duplicate now. Well,
He's got more Cold Light
he's
Oracle.
gonna burn.
Gonna mill a couple cards from Priest.
My hand is too full.
Okay, Injured Blade Master is one threat off. He's got an ice block, which is somewhat important here.
There's 14 damage showing on board right now.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So with 14 damage, you have to address this. No AoE, no Doomsayer still.
He's got some ways to do it. He's got Deathlords and Sludge Belcher. But Sludge Belcher could be a liability. He has to deal with it somewhere else because Shadow Madness would just outright lose him the game. This way, he still blocks some damage from the Vol'jin, but ends up keeping himself safe. Still, he feels like this is a turn to develop the ice block. And I'm okay with that.
This is so... Shadow or Death. Not that useful.
Yeah.
This is the turn where I think LonelyLink might be able to just develop something just because he wants to toss away cards.
Dr. Boom.
Yeah, Dr. Boom is fine. I mean, Cabal Shadow Priest is fine too.
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like
he's-
it's fine. Like as long as you're just taking minions and putting pressure back on.
I might even throw out the Undertaker as well. Just because it's sort of just taking up a hand slot right now. Might be useful later on, but I think in that situation.
Ooh, Blizzard's a pretty important draw
Whoa.
here. Gives him time to set up another minion too, like Deathlord.
Deathlord, yeah.
Interestingly enough, if there's too many minions on board, you can't Cabal Shadow Priest, right?
Mhm.
Or does it kill it? There's some instances where like if it's too full, it just kills it.
Yeah, I think it kills the
Does it
actual
kill the
Cabal
minion, or
target.
I think the game doesn't allow you to Cabal Shadow Priest. I think if you have
Oh,
6
really?
minions on board, it just doesn't allow you to play it.
Yeah.
LonelyLink draws a Dark Cultist, another card to build up the strength of the board, but it still looks like he's got plenty of cards in his deck. So I don't think he's still in challenge of getting fatigued anytime soon.
I have no time for games.
He didn't draw any cards early on from the Northshire Cleric. He's, I think, like 1 card behind just because of the 1 powered shield that he used. But that's a good sign because he has a much better tool later on with his hero power. In a fatigue match, his hero power gains so much more value than the mages.
Savjz really needs like Flame Strike, but just doesn't have access to it right now. And even if he got Flame Strike off Cool Light Oracle, it's just not enough to clear the board, prevent him from doing too much damage. He might opt for an Explosive Sheep and a taunt play here, but whiffs for the Cool Light Oracle. Oh!
That's pretty convenient.
It's exactly what he needed.
Yeah, how many
How
cards?
many cards remain, by the way, in
Yeah.
each deck?
9
9 versus 5.
Oh wow, so the priest actually did draw quite a few more. Oh, Loot Hoarder.
Yeah. Is there a way to deal with this?
And he did that Circle of Healing play as well, so yeah. Missed a couple.
See, you can't Cabal Shadow Priest because there's 6 minions.
Yeah,
on
okay,
the
yeah.
board.
If it'll kill the minion if it was a like a death rattle effect and something
Yeah.
needs to trigger. But if you have to play it from your hand.
I don't know. Like, this is, I guess,
Northshire Cleric.
yeah. Wait. If you toss in Zombie Chow, does that do 5 damage to him?
Yeah. Oh no.
Because it
Wait.
dies at the same time, so it doesn't count.
Does
Because he
the
has
play
Zombie
order-
Chow. He had a Zombie Chow and a Cabal Shadow Priest. Not Cabal Shadow, the Arcanine Soul Priest. I'm pretty sure that if it dies at the same time, it heals you instead of kills. Or it
Okay.
could be the order of the death.
Well, I don't know if it would have been. I guess the Zombie Chow is going to be a liability later on, so you want it to die. But I think the
Yeah, but I'm saying why don't you just toss in the Zombie Chow so that it does 5 damage as a nuke with the Arcanine? Or it probably doesn't work like that.
that's another interaction.
It's a pretty difficult one.
Yeah. Cabal Shadow Priest.
Yeah. But now Savjz doesn't have any more Doomsayers, which is tough because
Yeah, he wasn't able to get a duplicate or a Echo of Medivh on either of them. Could come back to haunt him.
well, it's the fact that the first one, that Doomsayer, didn't actually do much. Just relieves a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, but pressure is not really the main concern, I think, in this matchup.
He's still got Flame Strikes and other cards to help him with that.
And he's only got, what, 9, 8 cards remaining? Not
yeah,
very
but
many.
Mage is actually pretty deep into his deck as well. Oh, I forgot about Alexstrasza. Oh man, that card is actually a lot of potential. And I think Explosive Sheep with the Echo of Medivh here is like insanely good. It's like another Flame Strike.
It is a Flame Strike.
And actually that gains him 5 health too. That Zombie
How
Chow.
nifty.
The helping out a lot.
And he's cards ahead. So Alex
Yeah.
Straza, once the ice block is popped, he can Alex Straza himself back up. Priest.
or even more importantly, if he's fatiguing,
Oh, he can Alex
he's
Straza. his
Alexstrasza
opponent.
aggressively.
Yeah. You have to be careful with that, but again, he's 5 cards
Aw.
ahead.
I think Colento was the player that was utilizing Alexstrasza in the Fatigue Mage. And he got #1 legend with it, EU. So this
How
shows
long
me
did
that
that
Savjz
take
is
him?
paying attention. Huh?
How long did that take him?
I don't know. Probably a few weeks. That's
He was-
true. That's actually really funny to get #1 in legend with Fatigue Mage.
Mhm.
But that's also Colento for you.
Yeah.
Oh, what a draw.
Nice.
Alright, well, he's going to try to get the Explosive Sheep down to kill off some stuff. Ooh, and Tikio-Bot biting the dust. That actually does suck.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty painful, not only because he's not going to get the battle cry effect, but also just because
CNT Sarah.
He it dies in the process from the Dubots.
Sarah might be his only chance to actually push for a win, but then it gets polymorphed. I'm pretty sure, because once Savjz sets up a good line of taunt, he plays double Belcher next turn. Assuming there's no big threat, then he just Alex Straza and sits on that.
Yeah.
And you're going to be on fatigue.
And he'll be on fatigue 4 turns sooner.
Yeah, at least. Dream, not that useful. Polymorph followed by Sludge Belcher. And Savjz looks like he's got this game locked up, I think.
It seems so. It's hard to...
Like, Priest might just run out of damage.
It's hard to see the outcome. It's one of those games where it's nearly impossible to see the outcome until it gets very close to the finish line.
Yeah, because now this Alex Straza is going to do 10 damage. Mind Control takes a taunt, but that's okay. As long as Savjz doesn't get jeopardized by, like, dying. I guess he... Oh, he dreams the BGH. I was like, if he dreams so that way he can get past it, but...
I'm sorry.
Savjz realizes that he's very close to the finish line here.
Yeah.
Just has to Alex Straza aggressively.
One of the players who probably has some of the most experience with this deck as well. So I'm sure he can taste the victory right now.
Sludge Belcher and Duplicate. The thing that is also a little bit unsettling is that Savjz lost his antique heal bot, but he's so far ahead, I think, in the draws that it might not matter.
And he's got an ice block up, so that buys him an extra turn.
And so Alex Straza can heal him up for some, like 2 extra turns, 3 extra turns.
Yeah, he's missed the window, I think, to use the Alex Straza aggressively.
Like Flame Strike here just destroys the board. Oh, man.
And heals him up.
Wow.
It came out before we could even switch to his point of view.
Yep. And Fatigue Mage has done it. It took us a while, but I think Savjz is going to be going to the semifinals pretty clearly. As LonelyLink, he was up 2-0. I thought he was the open bracket hero this week.
Yeah, it really just does not happen much when a player goes down 2-0 in a series and then comes back to win 3-0, winning both blind pick matches.
So grindy.
But Savjz did it on the back of his Fatigue Mage, and you can see just how visibly frustrated LonelyLink is.
I feel so bad for Link right now, because like he came through the open bracket through 700 players. He beat Reynad. He was on the verge of being Savjz,